I'm James Lane, and there are a few things I'm definitely familiar with: salvage vehicles, performance vehicles, and sport compacts. Yes, that's right, I said sport compacts. Before my YouTube journey began, way back in the late 1990s, like most kids my age, I was into the import tuner scene. And right up to the time I started my channel, I was more well known for this than anything else. Well, that and Corvettes. Now, while I have transitioned away from sport compacts just a little bit, being a true car enthusiast, I still do have a fondness for them. Which brings us to this vehicle here, a 2013 Fiat 500 Abarth. So a few years back, I had a fire-damaged normal version of this car that left more to be desired. And with rave reviews from people such as Jay Leno, my curiosity grew about these Abarth models. And that's when I decided to check my local salvage auction, where I ran across this 2013 Abarth. So with light damage, low mileage, and advertised as a run and drive, this is exactly the car I was looking to buy. Well, it's a little cool and damp today. We got old Red ready right here, and we're going to jump in, head down to the auction, and pick up this car. Well, we've made it down to the salvage auction, and we're waiting on them to bring the car and load it up. She's all loaded up. Let's get her back home. Now, this is one of the first stops I like to make, because usually when you get these cars from the auction, they're filthy, they're covered in dirt, and I'm gonna go ahead and blast all this stuff off. So now that this thing is down on the ground, the next thing that I want to do is I want to see how well this thing runs. And this thing was advertised as a run and drive, and I saw a video of it running from the auction, but that doesn't tell me the condition of the battery. Now, it's a pretty common problem when you buy these auction cars that they have a bad battery, because they usually sit for several months. Now, this one's only sat for maybe about a month and a half, so we'll see if the battery's actually good or not, and if not, we'll have to replace it. But before you go trying to start anything like this, especially if it's wrecked in the front, a car that you don't know, you definitely want to check the fluids. Now, I've already checked the oil, and the oil level is fine, but as you can see down here, we have some radiator damage, and it doesn't appear to have any kind of coolant leaks. It looks just to be bent fins. And if you look at our reservoir, it's got plenty of fluid, maybe a little low, but that should be enough to get it started. So let's go try to start this thing up and see how it runs. Dash power's up, so that's a good sign. Clutch in. All right, moment of truth. There we go. Yeah, some bad gas or something. There's a check engine light on. That might be causing it to have a little hard start issue. We'll just have to diagnose that later. Sounds like this thing's got an exhaust system on it. I'm not sure if it does or not. Man, I wasn't expecting it to have an exhaust sound like that. I don't know if that's factory or just aftermarket or what, but it's pretty daggum cool. You can really hear the turbo too. I really like that. So as you can hear, it runs pretty good. We're going to have to address that check engine light issue, and of course all this collision damage. So I'm going to walk around. We're going to take a look at all the damage that this car has. Now, I pretty much bought this thing online based off of the pictures only. That's the only way you can buy anything right now from the salvage auction, at least in North Carolina. They're not allowing a in-person preview, so you basically just have to buy based off of the pictures. And from what I see here, it's exactly what I saw in the pictures. I don't really see anything that is hidden. The areas they have marked, I guess the body shop marked, as you can see on the fenders, they're not really that bad. There's a little wrinkle there. I believe I can fix that. And then over here on this side, there's just a slight wrinkle here, and there's a slight dent down here. I think all this can be fixed. If not, we can get a fender, no problem. And the door has a little bit of damage here. We can get a new decal, no problem. And there's a little bit of damage up in here, but the rest of the car looks pretty good. It looks like we got some scratches, which is typical. And even here on the back, they marked, look like maybe a scratch. The main issue is up front, where the front bumper cover is. So I was hoping this front bumper cover was going to be in a little bit better shape to where I could possibly fix it. Now, this thing has a lot of damage, and I could fix it, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. But the downside is they do not sell this as an aftermarket part. You have to buy it from the dealership. It's around $350 plus a $100 core, which means you have to trade this old bumper in or pay the extra $100. So we'll be trading this one in. And unfortunately, the Abarth emblem is bad. That's pretty pricey. I think that's around $125. So it's pretty important that you get a piece like this that came off the car when you buy one at the auction, because this could cost you potentially a lot of money. And the reason being is all these little components here, like the grills, the side grills, the lights, the fog light assemblies there, side markers, all this stuff, the wiring harness, everything behind here, all those little pieces add up. And if you try to piece this out, you're talking about a lot of money. You're probably talking upwards of $700-800 for this bumper cover assembly and all the components here. Now, you can buy a used bumper cover for a Abarth, but they are ridiculously expensive and hard to find. So I think I'm just going to get the dealership to order me a brand new bumper cover and buy the emblem and change all my parts out for this. Now, when it comes to the car, I already knew there was some damage up front here. You could see in the pictures, like to the radiator support, and of course the AC condenser in the radiator, and the crash bar, and the hood. Now, the hood is actually, believe it or not, probably fixable, but I can get a brand new hood for around $160. The radiator support, from what I understand, the radiator supports, these things are really expensive for the turbo models. They're about $275 with shipping. This one is bent, of course, and I think I can actually work it out. It's only bent up here at the top. As you can see, it's kinked up here. I believe I can pull this out lightly with a come along and get that squared away. And as you see, the headlight here, it looks like we just got a tab broke here and maybe a little tab here. You might be able to fix that. Those headlights are not really super cheap. They're about $125 a piece. So the only damage that I didn't really notice in the pictures was damage to this intercooler on the right side, and as you can see, it's got a big slash through it. Now, if this thing's got a hole in it, it's going to leak boost and cause nothing but problems, and that could factor in with our hard start problem. And then, of course, you got little small things like this inner fender. You got little fender brackets that you're going to have to contend with. So it doesn't appear to be any frame damage. Everything looks really good. It looks like it's mostly bolt-on stuff. And one of the main things you want to do when you buy a car like this, you want to make sure you don't have any airbag damage. And we don't have any airbags that are blowed, because that's going to cost you extra money and time and effort trying to fix that. So that's a positive. The interior is really clean. I mean, there's some dirt and stuff down there that can easily vacuum out, and some stuff on the seat that can wipe up pretty easily. But the seats themselves are like in really good condition. Somebody took pretty good care of this car. Overall, it's got brand new tires. That's always a plus. And it looks like we just need to clean up some wheels, and we might have a little bit of curb rash on those wheels. We can either repaint them, we can just buy a new set of wheels, put something different on there. I don't know how I feel about the white wheels. I like them, but I kind of don't like them, if you know what I mean. So I think this thing is super cool. I can't wait to get out on the road and drive this thing and see how it actually handles and performs. Now, I've drove the regular Fiat 500 Pop, and I wasn't really that impressed. But with this thing being turbo and a sport model and all sport suspension underneath, the wheels and tires, I think this is going to be a pretty interesting ride. So I think this is a really cool car. I've heard a lot of good things about these Abarths, and I can't wait to get this thing out on the road to see how well it runs and drives and performs. Now I've made a list of all the damaged parts that I need, and I need to order those. So until next time when I start tearing this thing down, I'd like to say thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the bell so you'll get the notifications, and you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram.